Hey, this is Pat Ricard, aka Project Pat, and you're listening to the Baltimore Beatdown Podcast, the best Ravens podcast on the planet.
It's pretty incredible. In fact, it's Lamarvelous.
Thank you, guys.
All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown Podcast. My name's Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
Here we are.
We're here.
Sunday night. Ravens get the win. I mean, listen, a lot of good stuff to talk about.
A lot of good stuff to talk about. Back-to-back seasons, starting 6-2. That is nothing to sneeze at.
That actually is a wild stat.
It is.
Especially with the way that things have kind of felt the last couple weeks. It's a wild stat.
Yeah, they start out hot both years, and last year the Ravens finished hot. It feels like this team has a lot of soul searching it's been going through, and those trials and tribulations that we've mentioned before. People wanted them to go through. They wanted lumps and bumps and adversity and all that crap, and it's getting served up on a platter now. So they've overcome a lot of difficulty, a lot of injury, a weird week that we'll get into, but here they stand, 6-2, Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, we shall overcome. I mean, it was an interesting game. I will say that. It was incredibly, I would say, frustrating in the first half. I was extremely pissed off. I felt kind of, a little weird, a little off today. I think I had too much caffeine in the morning. It's been a long, tiring week.
Did you golf this morning?
I'm sorry?
Did you golf this morning? That was yesterday morning.
No, yeah, that was yesterday. So I did that, had a couple brewskis out there. That probably didn't help me with where I'm at right now. But listen, I'm here. I'm ready to talk some Ravens. It was a good game, and it felt like a little bit of a soul cleansing game. They got out there and they showed some gumption, especially after a first half that was, quite frankly, it was flaccid, it was listless, and it was one of the least enjoyable halves of football I've ever watched. And there was concern that they were going to lose an ugly one, but in fact, they did not. Come out in that second half ready to rock, man. I mean, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, but it was the Baltimore Ravens. It's Marcus Peters getting an interception, which, some people may contest. I am not one of those people. I might have been.
That challenge was just that was a real fuck it from John Harbaugh.
You got to have a little fuck it if you're going to, turn the tables, and he certainly had some in him there, which was on full display. I mean, Peters goes up and gets that interception, and immediately your first thought is, okay, yeah, whatever. Not a turnover. He throws that flag. I saw you tweeting about it. I was concerned as well. I was watching it with a friend of the show, Eric. We were both pretty concerned, but Eric, actually, I'll give him credit. He's probably listening to this at some point. He pointed out to me, he was like, no, dude, that's probably a catch. And I was like, what are you even talking about? They threw the challenge flag and 3 steps and down. Marcus Peters.
It's because of this guy.
It is, yeah, it is because of that guy. Des Bryant making a massive impact in his first game.
They brought the sacrificial lamb from the 2015? 2014 NFC
2015 beginning of the year, 2014 NFL season, in which Des Bryant against the Green Bay Packers, Tony Romo hawks one up on 4th and 3. Did he catch it? Did he not? At the time, I don't think it was a catch. It would be in today's NFL. It should have been at the time, but it wasn't. And, it is what it is. But, the ghost of Dez, our boy on the sideline there, just having himself a great day. Good for Dez. I mean, he didn't really, obviously do anything on the field, but good vibes, big Dez guy. And this, I don't want to get too crazy about this win, 24-10 over a team that I don't want to say you should beat, particularly after the week they just had, but a team that you're probably better than on each of your best days, and they go out there and get the W. So
they did. They overcame. A lot of guys lost to COVID for practice. LJ Fort has a finger injury, and then Marlon Humphrey out for the game. You end up, having your first game without Ronnie Stanley. Ugly first half for the offensive line, was getting bullied well off the ball. And Calais Campbell goes down. Khalil Dorsey gets banged up, so the Ravens have 3 healthy wide receivers, healthy cornerbacks, and it was scary. It was a scary game, and then you're walking into halftime after basically watching a completely and utterly anemic offense that hasn't had a steak in 6 months, and a defense that's definitely, I don't want to say bend not break. They were playing ball. And the Colts had some beautiful misdirections, some screens, some reverses, some end arounds, a couple great plays, and drawing it up, yucking it up, and the Colts end up getting the ball. Was it 10-0 at that point when Marcus Peters ends up with a strip?
I think it was 7-0.
7-0. Yeah, it was 7-0. Colts scored at the end of the half.
Yeah, exactly. So they take it 10-7 into the half. But yes, it started 7-0.
Started 7-0. Colts are driving a little bit. Nice little Jonathan Taylor, little JT action. And Marcus Peters strips the ball out. I initially thought it was Malik Harrison, but no, lo and behold, it was Marcus Peters coming in, hawking the ball out. Chuck Clark.
What a fucking dog Marcus Peters is, dude.
He was trying to fight. He was trying to fight Julian Blackmon with no helmet on off of the sideline because he speared Lamar Jackson. And I love that.
No one's doing that. Like, there was maybe one player it might have been Makari, I think, kind of got into the mix a little bit, but like, he's the guy that's running out there without his helmet on, defending his quarterback. He's the guy that's coming up with these 2 turnovers and turning the game. He's the absolute pimp that is just like making this defense what it is right now. I love Marcus Peters.
Have to love Marcus Peters. So at this point, he's forced 6 turnovers this year, I believe. Or accounted for, whatever. And then Marlon Humphrey is 5, 4 forced fumbles and a pick, I believe. He might have a recovered fumble and then 4 forced fumbles and then a pick. Something.
Yeah, he had a pick in the first game. I'm trying to remember if he had another one, but yeah.
No, he only has 1 pick. So those 2 guys are accounting for 11 or 12 turnovers total, if I'm not mistaken, between the 2 of them. So the $142 million boys, the $1 billion boys club, making it work, man. And big ups to Chuck Clark. That was a hell of a return. Ravens are really lucky that ball didn't go out of bounds. It kind of just died.
They're also lucky that they were playing against Phillip Rivers, maybe the most immobile dipshit quarterback I've ever seen.
I don't think he tried to fall down. I think he fucking tripped.
No, he did trip. He was going for that tackle, and he tangled his shoelaces up there and kind of went down. And of course, Chuck had to hurdle over him, which made for a tremendous picture, and it's probably going to be memed to oblivion. So great.
I absolutely loved it. I loved every second of that. So that was the only highlight coming out of the first half. I mean, Ravens defense didn't look amazing in the first half. They looked really strong. They looked, there was a lot of concern. The Colts had been moving the ball a bit. They had a good bit of first downs. So at that point, going into the half, you're like, good Lord, how is it a 3-point game right now? And Ravens didn't deserve to be in that one. And luckily they were. The Colts just are vanilla on offense, like super vanilla. Frank Reich does it, and their OC, whose name's escaping my mind.
Sirianni.
Yeah. They do a great job with the misdirections, the end arounds, getting guys the ball in space. A lot of the stuff that we saw from the Philadelphia Eagles in that Super Bowl run, able to get guys the ball in the perimeter and move the chains, especially in the red zone. We didn't end up seeing it. They've been using Trey Burton and Wildcat a lot down in the red zone, trying to do some fun things with a former quarterback. And we saw a little bit of that. So it was like, all right, well, shit, why can't the Ravens do that? Oh, it's because their offensive line is getting absolutely bullied off the ball. And that transition into the second half was one of the craziest things I've seen this year.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a tale of 2 halves for the offense, especially. I mean, the defense, like, without them, they're not in that game, which is kind of weird to say because, like, the Colts, they scored 10 on offense in that first half. And it's interesting that you talk about how they're very good at the short to intermediate stuff and kind of taking what they give you. But when that's all you got, that's probably not going to last you for very long. And once the Ravens kind of keyed in on some of that stuff, it didn't really work for them as well in the second half, which is a big reason why they're able to come back. And you see Rivers trying that deep shot. He gets picked off by Peters. He tries another couple deep shots. They're really not working out. All they have is that short to intermediary passing attack. And obviously they got some good running backs as well. But yeah, just for as much as is going to be made about how bad the Ravens offense was in the first half, the Colts offense put up 10 points. And like it was a closer game than I think it appeared because Lamar and the offense were kind of really not getting it done. And the same questions that we had the last
5 straight punts.
Yeah, exactly. And the same questions that we had the last few weeks about like, man, like Greg Roman and all this shit. And like, I'm obviously not one of those people calling for Greg Roman's head, but there was some really things you just did not want to see out of this offense against a defense like this in a game that you really need, despite the tough week that they've had. You really wanted to see them show something in the first half. It looked like they were not going to, but they rebound nicely in the second half and do what they have to do. So it's a gritty win. It kind of reminds me of I think some people were making the Seahawks game comparison from last year. I'm kind of reminded of the Bengals game at home last year when things were really just kind of starting with the win streak. It's a game that people aren't really thinking about a lot, but I think the Bengals had like a kick return touchdown and then
89 yards
from there. Yeah, exactly. Ravens just take over from there. Nothing flashy, a lot of run game, and they just get it done, get a double-digit win. Kind of felt like that to me a little bit.
Yeah, the snaps were a big concern in the first half. The first half,
a cut hand, I think, is what was plaguing him there.
He had at least 4 snaps that were rogue, including in the first quarter to start a drive on the Ravens' 25-yard line, the drive that followed up the Jonathan Taylor 1-yard touchdown to make it a 7-0 game. Matt Skura scooted one back to Nick Boyle. Nick Boyle, very
alert.
Alert. That's the word I was looking for and couldn't find. Alertly ends up scooping it, grabs 3 yards there. So that was from 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That ends up putting you at 2nd and 9. And who knows what that play would have turned out to be, but that could have been a lot worse than it was. The Ravens did find their first down that drive after that. They were quite fortunate that ball doesn't get kicked by Bozeman or Skura, or something funky happens with an oblong object rolling around, as the football can so often do. So they end up getting a first down there, and I believe that was one of only 3 they had in the first half, if I'm not mistaken, something along those lines. But a lot of rushing the ball early on, and didn't work. They end up transitioning the second quarter, going Lamar Jackson pass from the 9:05 mark, pass. Finally, Lamar Jackson carry. That's where Julian Blackmon ends up dinging Lamar Jackson, gets Marcus Peters in there. The Ravens bring in Ben Powers and try and run J.K. Dobbins from a jumbo as Powers, being eligible, gets absolutely stuffed. Then Jackson takes a horrible sack on 2nd and 12. So suddenly you go from the Indy 35 with a first down all the way back to the 50, 3rd and 25, tack another one on, Orlando Brown holding, mixed with an illegal formation, DJ Fluker uncovered, and then it's 3rd and 35, and Lamar dinks one off to Willie Snead, who kind of almost got them into field goal range, but they didn't want to play that game with Tucker. I believe that would have been never mind, that was too far. That would have been a 66-yard field goal, pardon me. But that was ugly. That was an ugly sequence when they finally did get the ball moving. They went to the passing game, get up the field a little bit, had a Mark Andrews 13-yard gain, aided by a penalty a little bit. And that was all the life that they showed in the first half. And it was really, deflating. I felt like this game was going to be a rough one. And I predicted the Ravens to lose. And at that point, I was like, God, this is even way worse than I thought it was going to be. And they just come out slinging, man. No huddle to start the third quarter. We see Lamar Jackson hit Willie Snead, then again to Marquise Brown for 14 yards. No huddle, 2 of these 3 plays here. Willie Snead again. Dobbins reels off 2-yard run. Then you end up seeing the longest play of the day. Ironically, there were only 4 20-yard plays in this game combined from both teams. So a pass to Nick Boyle there ends up being the long play of the day. And the Ravens go down all the way to the Indianapolis 3-yard line. And what happens? Gus Edwards gets stripped, man. DeForest Buckner punches the ball out. Gus Edwards, I don't think, did anything wrong. He had the ball, 5 points of contact. You can kind of see it. Had the ball in his outside hand, which you're supposed to do.
Perfect, kind of perfect situation for the Colts where the fist is kind of coming out. You can tell Buckner doesn't really have a plan, but it just kind of hits exactly where it needs to hit. The ball pops out.
Right. And so that was, people like to talk about momentum and those things. It was just Buckner made a play, got that punch in, and that could have been really deflating. Marcus Peters, the next play, has this, 3-4 step interception that he kind of loses. And I couldn't recall initially. My concern was there wasn't a clear recovery of the fumble or something. I don't. It was a mess. Tony Romo is basically like,
Yeah, Leonard got his paws on it, and then he kind of was coming down, got hit, popped it out. Then I forget who came up with it again, but yeah, it was a weird play.
no, I'm talking about the pick, the next play from Marcus Peters.
Okay.
So I didn't remember if there was like a clear recovery, because if it's a catch and a fumble, like I didn't remember.
Not even, to be honest, I was so like, I had been pissed off from the first half, and then I was so like not convinced that anything was going to go the Ravens' way. So I kind of wasn't even paying attention to the replay. I was like, this is Harbaugh doing the challenge. He's going to lose a timeout, and I'm going to go full Kyle and put a hole in the drywall over there in my lovely parents' house. But thankfully that didn't happen. So who could say? I didn't see the replay.
There you go. But ends up being a catch, an interception, and the Ravens just came right back out, and it was the Lamar Jackson show again to start the drive. He scrambled. He hits Marquise Brown for 20 yards, the second longest gain of the day on that dig. Another run for Lamar Jackson in the third quarter, then another hit to Nick Boyle, who had a great day, 15 yards there. And the Ravens go all the way down, put in Ben Powers, eligible, 3 straight plays from the Indianapolis 2. They go jumbo. Gus Edwards 1, Gus Edwards 1, Gus Edwards 1 for 6. Which is just so funny because after that fumble, which obviously I don't think was Gus Edwards' fault, I think Buckner made a play, but Harbaugh is just so different. It's so much different than how he was like 5-7 years ago. If you fumbled the football, you were out of the game. Put the collar on, put the chain on. You're in the doghouse, brother. And
not to get too meta on that, but it's funny because 4 or 5 years ago they're going 8-8 every year, and now they're 6-2 the last couple of years, and he's not a big doghouse guy anymore. So kind of funny how that works. Funny how
it doesn't feel like there's doghouse other than maybe Ben Powers, who was snatching souls. It looked like
was he taking grown men's dreams and crushing them?
Yes, and I got a clear look at one rep of Ben Powers, and I've seen this happen 3 times where it might be a run block, and it's real. I haven't really seen many offensive linemen do this. And he'll kind of start to lose. He'll just drop to his knees and torque, like twist, kind of like a little alligator death roll. And it moves guys out of the way. It's like this weird little WWE movie does. And it might be holding, it might not, but I fucking love it.
Damn it. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a picture of Travis Kelce's post-game outfit. What a fucking clown this guy is.
He goes too far with those. Like I get he wants to be the dude who has a dating show on E or whatever the hell.
He's just trying too hard. He's got this weird like bomber jacket with these different tones and stuff. It's kind of in gold and white. I don't know. You almost kind of look like him a little bit, but you're much better looking.
I've been told Travis Kelce is similar. We both have really tiny ears and big heads. So
yeah, he opts for the goatee, which like you can pull off if you're like a millionaire football player and on steroids, but the normal guy probably not pulling it off as well as he is.
Not pulling it off. But yeah, so I mean, the Ravens are down, a couple dudes on defense. Obviously, the Colts don't have T.Y. Hilton, but the Ravens end up going, coming out in the second half and just absolutely smothering the Colts. The Colts have their opening possession of the second half, 11:05. Rivers throws the pick. Okay. Their next possession starts 5:37 in the third, 3 and out. Get the ball back in the fourth quarter, 7 odd minutes later, 8.5 minutes later, actually, and they finally find their first down of the second half. 9:47, they go down. It ends up being a 4th and 1. They bring in the jumbo and try to dump one to Trey Burton on that little screen. Matt Judon blows it up, and Ravens get the ball back. From there, it was just, them trying to press. They ran a lot of screens. I think Patrick Queen sniffed out a lot of screens today from what I saw. Big improvement there. And what we've mentioned on this show is that this common phrase gets used to describe Patrick Queen is that he learns. He picks up one mistake. If he makes a mistake, won't happen again the next week. An example of that was LSU played Texas, and Devin Duvernay actually got him up the seam. He didn't get enough depth, and Sam Ehlinger snuck a ball past him. Texas scores a touchdown, and then you end up seeing an incredibly similar concept from Alabama a couple weeks later. Queen gets enough depth, picks off Tua Tagovailoa. LSU ends up winning that game. Not just because of Queen, but certainly big part of it there. So Queen looked like he was a lot more aware. He had a lot more perception of the screens. He realized that was where they were going to get attacked. The Colts kept going back to that well, and I believe he had 3 stops on screens. Lovely thing to see.
Yeah, front seven played pretty well. I don't think there were any sacks, but I mean, and that was something that was kind of glaring for a while, but eventually the front seven and particularly the pass rushers started to get up into the grill of Rivers and the other guys, and then made some key plays late. You had the 4th down that I think Judon kind of got up into Rivers' face as he was trying to make the throw. The ball just kind of pops up and, falls back down. Nothing comes of it. So a nice day for those guys overall. You'd really like to see them get some sacks, especially against a guy like that who's not going to be moving around on you a ton. And in fact, he did evade the pass rush on one play and, kind of make them look a little silly because he is a, 50-year-old quarterback that can't move around or however the fuck old he is. I don't even care. But yeah, just a good game for the pass rush. But again, you would like to see some sacks, but doesn't really matter.
Does not really matter. Colts have a good offensive line. Rivers gets rid of the ball quick. He did start trying to float some deep ones, and it did not work one bit. Terrell Bonds particularly had really sticky coverage downfield against Michael Pittman. Pittman had a step, but Bonds trailed him really well. Ball was a little bit too far, and Bonds was up in his grill. There was one where I believe Johnson got a step on Jimmy Smith around the 3-yard line, but Rivers kind of floated it against the grain, and Johnson couldn't make an adjustment back to the ball. They struggled to do anything deep at all. Rivers ends up saying post-game that the Ravens ran a lot more cover 2 than he was expecting. So it seems like the Ravens kind of, we don't know how much that might be. The Ravens don't typically do too high very often, about 78% of their snaps. I think I checked before the Steelers game, 78% of their snaps were in single high. So they put the onus on Chuck Clark and Deshaun Elliott, maybe a little more so in this game, knowing that Bonds and Dorsey need some help.
I was gonna say, I don't know, what was he expecting if Humphrey's going to be out?
The Ravens don't run cover 2, so I guess they just they weren't calling cover 2 beaters. I have seen Rivers beat some too high safety stuff this year. I know he had a touchdown last week up the seam on it, but thing is the Ravens will roll coverage really late. They'll have Deshaun Elliott go from the line of scrimmage to 17 yards deep within a second and a half of the ball getting snapped. He's rolling all the way back, and all of a sudden it's too high, and you look at your primary read and it's taken away, and then shit kind of hits the fan after that. So Ravens did a great job in this game. You hear John Harbaugh make comments about how this is, he thinks this was Wink's best performance as a play caller. And it's hard to overlook the absence of Marlon Humphrey, Calais Campbell, LJ Fort, relying on Bonds and Dorsey and their 2 young linebackers, as well as Chris Board, another young linebacker. And we saw Justin Madubuike have a great game, have a really solid game from the TV broadcast, at least. Has the big chase down from behind and ends the play.
Tremendous play, honestly. He saved a big play there.
Right. So that was great to watch. They rallied to the football. They tackled really well. If the Colts evaded a tackle, there was another dude there way more often than not. Colts ripped off, an end around, had a couple plays there, but nothing in the second half. They really tightened up, and it was just a really inspiring win. Really inspiring win. The Ravens had no business. It's not even that they had no business. They just had excuses in the chamber.
So I'm expecting, speaking of Bengals wins, I'm thinking of Lamar's first ever win, the famous Harbaugh speech where he sprints into the locker room and just starts screaming out the Jocko stuff, the good. I don't know if I'm expecting that, but I'm expecting a little inspiring Harbaugh video to come out next morning, maybe from the Ravens social media team, because this was back against the wall, fucking nobody believes in us type game if I've ever seen one. You got all this stuff going on with the COVID and the injuries. They're in a bad spot. And then you got the Steelers, Mike Tomlin. We respect him, but we don't fear him. And then you get whoever the fuck it was, Houston or, whichever
Justin
one of
Houston,
those.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We respect him, but, we don't fear him. Good for you, fuck. Hold this out. 24-10. Yeah, we respect you guys, but we don't fear you. Late in the game, 3rd and 1, down by the goal line. Listen, we respect you, but we're going to get our receiving tight end who, listen, let's just call it like it is. He's not much of a blocker. Get the quarterback to roll out a little bit. You got him as the lead blocker, and you know what? He respects you, but he does not motherfucking fear you, and the quarterback scores. And you know what? we respect you. Maybe some of us probably do. Some of us probably don't because of the sordid history, to say the least, between these two franchises. I try not to hold grudges. I respect them, but I don't fear him. I don't know about you, but that's just my thoughts on it.
The Indianapolis team, the Irsay's can eat their hearts out. I'm sure this was a big loss for them as a team that would love to be sitting at 6-2, but unfortunately they dropped to 5-3.
Listen, solid team, good team. Maybe they'll be in the playoffs.
I think they'll definitely be in the playoffs.
Yeah, good for them. Good for them.
In the playoffs. Yeah, it was not a great showing from them in the second half. And if I'm not mistaken, Lamar Jackson didn't have an incompletion in the second half. I'm trying to scroll through here.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
I might be mistaken. The fumble, still nothing. I'm pretty sure he went like 12 for 12 in the second half. Pass short, right, complete, scramble.
He's got a lot of respect for them, but he just doesn't fear them. So that's probably why he doesn't have an incompletion in the second half.
Does not fear them. I'm going through here. Third quarter didn't have an incompletion. Gus Edwards. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, second half, no incompletions.
Yeah, fear that. Fuck.
Justin Houston. Jake wants to fist fight him. Well,
this is the he can't throw. This is, can't get it done in the playoffs. This is the 7 defensive backs. This is going to be the new thing. I fucking know it. I know it, and I'm squashing it right now. It's not happening. We're not doing this.
It was already squashed. It's been squashed. It's a spaghetti squash.
Right here. I'm pulling my fly swatter out, and I'm squashing this fly because I don't want to hear this again. Let's stop with this. It's enough. Let's do this mailbag. That'll get us into all the other good stuff. And we'll start it out, if I can pull it up. There we go. With K-Brick 2. Will the offensive line overcome these injuries as time goes on, or will it ultimately doom them? How do you feel, Jake? I feel like it's a thing where you just kind of have to adapt to it. You're just not going to replace Ronnie Stanley. He's too good. But Orlando Brown, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've broken down the tape yet, because obviously you can't. I'm not much of an offensive line guru to begin with, but it looked like he was pretty solid today. And it looks like they've kind of made something out of Bradley Bozeman, which is very nice. And Skura had a rough day with his snaps. Kind of a rough season so far, but, he's working his way through it. Right guard situation is a little murky. Fluker is at right tackle. Here's the thing. They already kind of weren't great, and they're not going to be that this season. They're not going to be what they were last year. So with Stanley out, it's just going to be improvise, adapt, overcome. And I wouldn't expect them to be, any better than they've been so far. So I would say, yeah, they're probably not going to improve. But I'm not expecting that much of a significant drop-off. I think Joe DeAlessandris is one of the most underappreciated figures in that building, and I think he's going to kind of keep him in line.
I agree. I think it is a little overstated. Ronnie Stanley is a huge loss, but I think a lot of it that's just going to boil down to Lamar Jackson, man, and Greg Roman as well. The Ravens got the ball out quickly. Lamar Jackson, typically in his career, each of the first 2 seasons and currently this season, holds the ball a little bit longer than most quarterbacks. Well, longer than pretty much every other quarterback. Averages 2.98 seconds snap to throw, which is second longest in the NFL behind Josh Allen. Holds the ball, makes plays, runs around, whatever. Today, in the second half, that number came down significantly. It appeared as Ravens ended up with Lamar Jackson getting the ball out in 2.72 seconds. That was quicker than what Teddy Bridgewater did today, Derek Carr, Drew Brees, Mahomes, Wilson. Alex Smith held the ball longer than that today. All kinds. Matt Ryan. So getting the ball out quicker, that can negate the pass rush. That can take some heat off your offensive line. And those underneath passes, Lamar was firing some stuff out to the sideline and underneath and using some screens and dialing up some different things and some quick hitters. And I feel like a lot of it just comes down to pre-snap communication with the offense, being on the same page, getting to the line quickly and communicating, as well as tempo. And in tempo, just keeping it simple, being able to reel off those concepts. This was a huge game for the Ravens going no huddle as well, and proving to themselves kind of and knowing what it feels like to successfully run a no huddle offense that moves down the field. takes the heat off. It limits what a pass rush can do. Things start to simplify. That's been used against the Ravens. We saw the Steelers do it to them last week. And the Colts didn't really utilize no huddle in this game, if I believe. I don't think they had any no huddle snaps until the fourth quarter, 11:08 left. They end up going no huddle a little bit, moving the ball just a little bit. And that was the drive that ultimately ended at the Baltimore 16 on downs. But Ravens use some no huddle, get some tempo going. And this is a hashtag analyst statement, but when Lamar's not pressing, when he's not trying to be a superhero and just plays within the fucking offense, the Ravens win games. Every single time they win. And when he starts trying to hold the ball, do a little bit too much, expects his receivers to maybe be running the scramble drill and finding space and stuff, and leads to some errant throws, leads to some spectacular plays as well. But when the offense isn't gelling, you got it. Check the ball down. So Lamar averaged 4.1 air yard. Pardon me. Yeah, 4.1 air yards today. That was the lowest this week. And he has been about 5th in the NFL so far in air yards, intended air yards per pass attempt. Why is it not flicking the right way? There we go. Excuse me. So he was 2nd. Alex Smith averaged 3.1 intended air yards. Today, Lamar Jackson was 4.1. On the season prior to this game, he was averaging 9.4, which is 4th in the NFL, according to Next Gen Stats. Airing the ball out. We talk about the vertical stuff and how there's not check downs for him. There's not hot reads against the blitz. Today, they flipped that on its head, got the ball out quickly, fired to the sideline, used those underneath check downs, moved the sticks, let guys run after the catch. Saw a ton of that today. And that's how you help the offensive line. So moving forward, I think that's going to be a key. Moving on, we have Jason Woodbury. Do the Ravens trust Lamar to throw? Yes. He led the NFL in touchdown passes last year. We'll move on from that one. Neon Dion, do you think the Ravens fed Hollywood enough to make him happy? I think he's happy as long as they win, but when they lose and he has 2 targets, he's going to be – he got pissed. He got pissed, and rightfully so. The way that the Ravens responded to that, they didn't kind of just throw that one under the rug. You hear both Greg Roman and Lamar Jackson come out and be like, that's our fault. We should have fed him more. We lost. We should.
And John Harbaugh choosing not even to no comment it, which you feel like he usually would, but even he said like, yeah, I talked to him about it and not too happy. So good for him on that. And they got him involved a little bit. He had a bad drop, which you can't do after you do that, but they wanted
it was a low throw. It was a little tough.
Sure, but he got his paws on it. And if you're going to be complaining about how great of a soldier you are, then let's maybe go mission accomplished there and haul that in. That's all I'm going to say.
See, everybody was like jumping all over Twitter about that. Like he has one fucking drop. I think that was I think everybody went a little overboard.
Yeah, of course they did. But here's the thing. He went to Twitter first.
He did go to Twitter, but got a couple more targets, moved the chain.
0-30-15, and I'm off social media. All right.
Yeah, that was stupid. That don't tweet that.
It's okay. He's like a 22-year-old kid. I'm not gonna get on him too much.
Whatever. Ravens 66 Nation. What do you guys think the offense needs to do to start quick and stay consistent? Get the ball out quickly, I guess. Seemed good. Put the ball in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins' hands a couple times.
Probably involve Edwards and Dobbins would be
play action on first down is the pinnacle of what the analytics community loves. And I think once we started seeing more play action on first down, it opened things up, gets the linebackers thinking, opens things up in the passing game all around. So I would like to see more play action early in games, early in downs.
Yeah, control the pace. Don't go too fast. Don't, like you mentioned, try to be too much of a hero. Just, kind of play your game. Don't panic. Feed Ingram or Edwards.
Get to the line quickly. Get to the fucking line quickly. It felt like when they've had this issue through the first half of this game this year, not getting to the line quick enough, not having time to process. Lamar tries to make late adjustments with 4 seconds on the snap clock, and it just creates that frantic energy. When he gets frantic, the offense gets frantic. It is like when you're in school and the teacher is, very high in energy, it creates a high energy classroom. The quarterback is in control of the offense. You have to be at the line, communicating clearly, making it evident what's going on, snapping the ball, getting the ball out in rhythm, developing a rhythm, helps you see the defense, helps you understand how the defense responds. Because when you start going tempo, getting the line quickly, getting the ball off, they have to actually like straight up play coverage, play a basic coverage, rush 4 or 5 at you with less drama, less chaos. Helps you understand what the defense is at their core and how to attack them. So I think tempo, getting to the line quick, not even just tempo, just getting to the line quicker, getting out of the fucking huddle, getting to it. I think that should be a revelation moving forward. Sure. Neon Dion. Oh, no, we already did that one. RGZ23. Can Lamar throw for 300 yards or more? I don't fucking care if he can throw for 300 yards or more.
Yeah, no, they can. The answer is he can. Yes.
Yeah. Whitehead Will, favorite player to watch. Let's go on the defensive side of the football. I'm going to go with Marcus Peters right now, man.
Me too, dude. I love him. I love him. Like, when have they had a player like this? It's been since before the 2010s, I feel like.
It's been post Ray Lewis. Ryan Jensen is the last one.
I mean, like, on defense, like a badass ball hawk who's like going to talk shit and like mix it up. You know what I mean?
Yes. But I just even feel like someone who's willing to throw hands for their teammates and doesn't want disrespect, like doesn't appreciate disrespect after the fact. Marcus Peters straight up had Lamar Jackson's back, was coming onto the field to let it be known it was not cool to hit his quarterback.
Which, like, all the talk about him from maybe Kansas City, but like this whole idea of him being this like selfish head case, like he's definitely a head case, but like not in a bad way, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the opposite of selfish. The opposite of selfish.
For his fucking quarterback, and like he's going to his press conference eating popcorn after he just like fucking forced 2 turnovers and just essentially won that game for them. He's a pimp. I literally would go to war for this guy. I love him.
Eric Jacobs, real estate. The best realtor in the greater Baltimore area. How big of a game was this on the big game? Right. How big of a game was this big game on the big game scale?
We were having this discussion in my living room, actually, about big games. I've actually went ahead and tweeted before it was over. I've decided this right here was a big game. Guess what?
It was a big win.
I'm sorry?
Big win. It was a big win.
No, this was a big game. I'm deciding that. Lamar Jackson just had a big win in a big game, and he just came back in the second half.
That Colts team is going to finish like 10-6. That's a playoff team. The Ravens have beaten probably 3 playoff teams so far this year.
Should we be concerned about Phillip Rivers' ability to win big games? This is a big game to me.
It's a big win. Big game, big win.
I'm the Max Kellerman of this podcast right now. This is a big game.
Hell yeah. 95 JD. Ravens went tempo in the second half. Can you seeing the Ravens do more of that moving forward? Having that, like I said, having that experience of what it feels like on the field to run tempo and do it successfully and switch it up on a defense that's beating you up is a pivotal, crucial experience moving forward in Lamar Jackson's development and for where this offense feels themselves. And Greg Roman knowing that he can point to that as a change of pace, figuratively and literally, when the offense is getting, a little stale or very stale or fucking sucks. So, yes, I could definitely see the Ravens doing more of that moving forward.
I'm always a go faster guy, personally.
Go fast. I like to go fast. Adam Jones, 357, the 5-time Gold Glover. Ravens defense equals best in the NFL. Do not at me. They might be, man.
Yeah.
They might be.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh struggled with the Cowboys today. Pittsburgh's defense wasn't. They had the 2 picks, but the Ravens moved the ball on them, scored points on them. Other than that, the Bears had a tough day with the Titans. I think. Let me just make a blanket statement really quick. The AFC fucking owns the NFC. And I'm not I don't have some pride in the AFC. Like, I do have a little bit of pride in the AFC North just because they have the smash mouth football, blah, blah, blah. But the Dolphins handed it to the Cardinals. The Bills handed it to the Seahawks. The Titans handed it to the Bears. Like, look around, and AFC teams are beating up on NFC teams. It's wild. Wild to me.
Yeah, and I guess circling back to the point, who's like, I wouldn't say they're like this historic great defense, but like, who's better than them right now? Everyone wants to slob all over Pittsburgh's knob. They're good. What is so great about them that makes them like that much better than the Ravens defense? And if they're the best, then okay, like
not too far off. Yeah. Etsy Deck or ETZ, whatever. Etsy Deck. I'm going with that. How does the targeting game look? Obviously, Harbaugh listened. Do you expect Dez to get targets? I think you're talking about kind of like spreading the ball out, ball distribution. Look good today. A lot of guys getting involved. Boykin had a catch. Andrews, Boyle.
Sneaky good game from Willie Snead 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
Great to see that. I love Willie Snead.
If the Ravens want to do damage in the playoffs, Willie Snead should be getting fed. He is a chain mover. He has a moxie. He's one of those first down, he hits above his weight class as a receiver.
Yeah, he's really definitely not the most physically, athletically dominant guy out there, but he's just in the right spot at the right time, and he just makes plays when you need him. Like that about him a lot. And the target share, I felt like was good. You got Hollywood involved a little bit, as we said. Boykin had a couple nice catches, it felt like. So, yeah, good as far as involvement, and not as much.
No fucking Pat Ricard. No Pat Ricard targets either. Thank God.
We were on the same wavelength there. That not nearly as much Pat Ricard in the passing game, which is always a good thing.
Duvernay had a catch. No?
Yeah, I think he had one. But yeah, it's always good to see not as much Pat Ricard, unless it is in fact the 1 yard line, and you can throw some bizarre flat pass to him. And
those are fine. I'm fine with those. Just like don't make him in the offense between the 20s. Like he's a blocker. He's an outstanding blocker. Use him as that. We've spent a lot of time talking about that. But spread the ball around. The 1-2 punch of Dobbins and Edwards. While today was tough sledding, they fought for yard. Like J.K. Dobbins had an unbelievable game. Had 35 yards rushing or something like that. I thought he had a great game. Making guys miss behind the line of scrimmage. He had that beautiful spin move in the hole to go get a first down. Those guys are reeling right now. Mark Ingram needs to be on the shelf. If he like I've said, he should just be rehabbing for another month. Let him go train his ass off and have like a mini off season right now. Then incorporate him back into the offense later in the season when you have your actual cupcake schedule, and then he'll be fresh. Then he can kind of take some of the wear and tear off of Dobbins and Edwards. Then maybe you have 3 fresh running backs going into the postseason. That would be awesome. But at this point, there's no reason to reinsert Mark Ingram and take away from what Dobbins and Edwards are doing.
Big vacation energy from Mark Ingram.
Big vacation energy.
When he was, I don't know if you saw JK's Instagram story, but
yeah, they were like dancing around. Moving on, Big Von 803. Do you think the way the Ravens played in the second half will go into New England with everyone healthy? Kind of translate, I guess. And Marlon coming back in a 2-parter. So, yeah, I think that was a game where they realized what they can be, a part of their offense. I think that was a little bit of an identity poking its head out against a tough defense, a defense that's more substantial probably than the Patriots, although the Patriots can do some interesting things. But, the Ravens know they have the option stuff. They know they have the read option, the RPO, the ground game, all that stuff. It didn't quite work today as it usually does, but ran for over 100 yards ultimately. But the tempo, the quick passing, all that stuff, developing that rhythm is imperative. And I believe, it can translate into New England.
Yeah, probably should. I mean, you're talking about them coming off of the COVID scare, 24-10 win. I mean, on the road against a pretty good team. That's no small potatoes. The Patriots are not a good team right now. And you're getting Marlon Humphrey back. So, yeah, no reason why the mojo shouldn't carry over.
No reason the mojo don't carry over. Moving on, block 1134. Marcus Peters is playing lights out. He has been the most consistent player on defense. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been maybe the biggest impact defender. I think there's been some consistent guys.
I don't even want to say that he gets shit, but there's just a lot of talk about how you're going to have good Marcus and bad Marcus, and he's going to give some up and make some big ones. And I don't know, man. Like, it's felt like a pretty relatively consistent this season.
I agree. Relatively consistent. And it's like the good Marcus, the bad Marcus. So what? He doesn't every single game have an amazing game, isn't like the best player in the NFL all the time. Is that what that means? Like,
if I have to watch him like give up one long pass like every week for him to make the plays that he does week in and week out, sign me the fuck up.
He's given up a couple big plays. Like,
which is what I'm saying. Like, it's not even that.
Yeah, he's given up a couple big plays.
Not even what people are saying, which people Many people are
He
saying
jumps. He's a gambler. He jumps stuff. Like,
he's really swashbuckling is one of the great buzzwords.
and I think part of it has to do with what we've talked about. We haven't seen him in those deep zones. When you just stick him on someone and tell him, go guard that dude, it's not a lot of guys better in the NFL doing that. Moving on. Cyan 23 seemed like the offense went into a higher tempo and was quite successful. Yeah, we've hit on that a bunch. Definitely Cyan, good observation. Elliott 52. Can this offense grow organically, or are drastic changes needed this offseason for a final push? Ravens bet on a young offense, and I think that maybe this organization expected the growing pains a lot more than the fan base did, knowing, we're going to go stick Dobbins and Duvernay and Marquise Brown and Boykin, and we're going to bet on Phillips and Bozeman, and Orlando Brown's not like a vet. Their quarterback is young. Willie Snead, the veteran of the team at 27 years old at this point. Mark Ingram as well. So I think these growing pains are a little more expected, and that's why people are getting so fucking pissed off about the Cincinnati Bengals game, where the Ravens were airing the ball out with a huge lead. And it's just so ironic to me how that Bengals game gets funnier and funnier every time they go barely lose to a good team or beat someone they're not supposed to or something. But they needed time to develop these guys. They bet on a young offense. They have the second cheapest offense in the NFL. Game experience, reps. Didn't have a preseason. Didn't have scrimmages, all that crap. So they need to continue developing the offense in the offseason, yes, but the development's happening before our eyes. And it's in terms of experience. They're going to continue. They're going to draft new guys, bring it. Who knows? They don't usually sign big name offensive playmakers or anything, but I think experience is more important than, trying to make some big splashy move or something. It's continuing to get your feet under you.
I agree.
Moving on. Jay Crichton, 33. How do you guys feel about this team? Good. Feel good about this team.
Yeah, I feel good. It's not great. They're not the best team in the league. They're not on par with the Chiefs, but they're in that next tier solidly. They're a good team. They're playoff, probably projected playoff bound, and I'm pretty confident in them. I love their coaching staff. I love their playmaking ability. It's not going to be perfect week to week, but good team to root for.
Fun team. It's a good team. It's a fun team. It's a young team, and a lot of firepower, a lot of superstar names, as opposed to what we've had the last few years in Baltimore. A lot of soldiers. And you better use your soldiers. Sam I Am 328. Have the Ravens finally found a sustainable offense? No. I think we're going to see more inconsistency at times still because they're young, as we just discussed. But this was a big stepping point. Springboard moving forward. That I just feel like that no huddle against the superior defense. The Colts defense is more talented than the Ravens offense. Buckner, Leonard, all the guys on that front, decent playmakers on the back end, more experience, some big ticket guys, and they moved the ball right down the field in the second half and had a huge flip. So I think it showed them that they can overcome being in the hole. They can overcome a defense that's outperforming them, and that there are ways that you can change in game to defeat maybe a more talented, unit. So I don't know if that is the offense moving forward, but I think it does a lot for the psyche.
Yeah, patient, consistent, perfect mesh between ability and coaching. I feel like in that, you're not kind of relying on the coaching to scheme these guys up, and you're not relying on talent one way or the other. They're kind of just in a nice medium, I think. And if you stick with what you did in the second half, maybe it'll look just that good every week. I feel like it's not going to be that consistent. I feel like it's going to be a little stock market chart thing going up and down, but not going to get too low or too high.
I agree. Pluke Surfs coming back. Our boy Pluke coming back. 2 mailbags in a row, I think.
On IG. Shout out to that guy. I love him.
It's our boy. Statement win. This is what that locker room needed. Here we go. This is the game. This is like the Always Sunny episode. It's the one where the gang gets it together. The one where the gang figures it out. Something like that. And I think this game, it kind of reminds me, one of our top commenters on Twitter, can't recall who, Said this reminded him a lot of the Seahawks win last year. And I couldn't agree more in that sense where, the Seahawks had a little bit of a lead. The offense couldn't quite do what they wanted to, had a little bit of disappointment. The offense was so bad today, it was a little different, but the mojo was there. They got it rolling. I feel like they got some confidence going.
Got a rolling down conversion late when you need one. You get your young player involved in JK. Yeah, it's definitely a massive win. And like I mentioned, open for a little Harbaugh speaks content tomorrow on Twitter. I'm hoping for it.
It keeps the players bought in too, because Harbaugh has all of that, these isms that you're preaching, and so much talk about tenured coaches is does their message go stale? And this keeps the ship rolling, man. The Ravens haven't lost back-to-back regular season games other than the Chiefs and Browns since Lamar took the reins, and Harbaugh kind of rebought in and feels like he's expanded himself in that way and become, the older, wiser coach as opposed to the younger, more aggressive coach in terms of personality. But he is big into those phrases and those goods and the isms and all that good stuff. So I think it keeps the message fresh. It keeps the players motivated. And back to what Sam I Am said, have the Ravens finally found a sustainable offense? I think they understand what it feels like to be in a well-oiled offense, in an offense that is rolling, that has rhythm. So I don't know if it's like schematically going to be a revelation based off of today, but the tempo, the pace, the rhythm, the timing, that all feels really good. Moving on, Jack B58. I heard rumors that James Urban was calling plays in the second half. Thoughts? I don't know about that.
I feel like that's just not true.
I don't know if it is or isn't, so I can't really comment on it. I feel like it's untrue as well, but
can we name a source?
Yeah, I don't know. Someone also said to me on Twitter that David Culley was calling plays in the second half. So
you know what, guys? I was calling plays. Do you like my play calling?
Watch the Ravens come out and be like, yeah, actually, James Urban started calling plays. And then we'll be like, oh, great, we're idiots.
No,
who knows? I don't know.
Whatever. Who could say?
I don't know. If that was happening, I have no clue to it. So whatever. Happy about Roman's halftime adjustments, Boss Hoss asked. People need to shut up about him being fired. If you think Greg Roman should be fired, you're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired.
Listen, you're fired.
Yeah, very happy about Roman's adjustments for sure. I think the Ravens have done a great job overall in the second half.
We're going to fire you. It's going to be tremendous over at Four Seasons Total Landscaping. Going to get rid of you. It's going to be quite a beauty. Continue.
I think the Ravens have done an amazing job so far this year in the third quarter for the most part. Shut the Chiefs out, had a drive there. I think they kicked a field goal and then ended up scoring a touchdown early in the fourth quarter there. I think they went like 5 or 6 games, not allowing a point in the third quarter. So I know we're talking about Roman, but this has been a big halftime adjustment team overall. The Eagles, they kind of had that meltdown, but other than that, great in the second half. That game felt weird. That was a little bit of a trap game before the bye week, and Harbaugh doesn't always do a great job playing those big games before bye week. Well, not big games, but just getting the guys into the bye week with a win, but usually brings them out. So it was a little bit of the opposite this season, losing after the bye week, winning before it. Moving on, Joe Boken, JC. Will the Ravens have a double-digit sack player? At this point, you got to say no.
No.
Moving on, 7-star hash Rosen.
What?
7-star hash Rosen. I can't say this one out loud, but it's really funny. F word, the Steelers, them, N word, P word.
Yeah, listen, I can't say that. I co-sign it 100%.
The sentiment I agree with. Moving on. We'll move on from that one. Joe Bogan and JC, despite the haters, is the Ravens coaching staff the strongest part of this team? Also, 32 is a hitter. Sean Elliott is definitely a hitter. Coaching staff has to be, yeah. I would say so. I would say the coaching staff is a huge part of this team. Having kind of 3 wise men, both of the coordinators kind of run their own show, with Harbaugh obviously, keeping them in line or however, not keeping them in line. That's not the right way to put it. Keeping them on the right course, I think, and having a big picture in mind. Yeah, I think the coaching staff is among the best in football.
That's kind of been my point about this team for the last couple of years. Is I feel like everyone likes to, get a little too crazy on Harbaugh sometimes because he's not bringing you the offensive play calling or the defensive specialty or whatever. He's just kind of like a motivator. I think it works pretty well in their favor a lot of the time. And this is one of those games where you need a guy like that. And their coaching staff outside of him is pretty darn good as well. So, yes, it is a very underrated aspect. And that's another thing that you can look at that Steelers result today. And are they frauds? Whatever. They're clearly not frauds at 8-0, but are they a little overrated? Maybe, but I don't think they win that game without their coaching staff being top notch. So Steelers very good, and or Steelers coaching staff very good. Ravens coaching staff very good as well. So yeah,
agreed. Gorsucha 08. How'd you guys feel about the second half? Other than the fumble, Lamar looked calm. We've hit on that a bunch, but I agree with the calm part, and that's a huge part of it moving forward. Moving on, enjoy Slurms. Halftime adjustments were night and day in my opinion. What the hell? I was expecting just business as usual. I didn't think this game was going to be business as usual. I don't know why everyone kept saying that, considering the circumstances of the game with Marlon Humphrey out, Ronnie Stanley's first week gone. The Colts threw the kitchen sink at the Ravens offensive line early on. The half of the starting defense didn't practice this week. I don't know why everyone thought they were just going to roll through the Colts, but they did in the second half, so I was kind of wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I saw a couple of people, you included, predicting losses. So. Yeah,
I did not think this was going to be cut and cake. B.R. Stevens, will the haters finally shut up for a few days? I hope so. Because it was just like the classic little Baltimore media guys that are always pissy. Mike Preston gets his tweet off. All the other dipshits on Twitter can start getting their tweets off in the first half about how pathetic the team is. And we've been making excuses for young offense all season. And is everybody going to keep praising Lamar? That turned out well.
Yeah. If you're a hater, you fight.
Michael Murr 12. What changed offensively speaking from the first half to the second half? Tempo, getting the ball out quickly to moving into the sideline. They went jumbo down at the goal line. Rhythm, timing, pacing, all better. Much more calm pre-snap, leading to more calm post-snap. This is going to be a great game for film breakdowns. Last week was too, so I'm excited for this one. We'll get into it when that good old A22 comes out. I have off tomorrow. I just realized first time I've had a Monday off, believe this year. So I'll be cutting it up and yucking it up. But moving on,
working from home this week again, not getting called into the office at the last fucking minute. It's a great feeling. Also, Masters week, going to be at home watching the Masters. It's coming. Big game against the Patriots. It's going to be a good week.
Hell yeah. A-Foot, this team will go as far as Lamar will let it. We ride and die with him. I think so too. I think at this point, without Ronnie Stanley and with this young offense, we saw him able to calm down this offense and get it in rhythm. I think it started with him. I mean, Skura was throwing him goddamn knuckleballs, and he was just reeling them in, making plays still. So I think I agree. Lamar, this team will go as far as Lamar takes it. It's the Lamar show on offense. Yonda's gone. Stanley's out. Young, inexperienced, cheap offense. Lamar has to make it work. And I think that coincides with Roman as well, and with the running game and all that stuff. But I agree. It's they have a great defense, but so did the Steelers last year and had crap quarterback play. So if you want to win that playoff game, get that monkey off your back, it's going to be on the passer, on the quarterback, on the leader of the offense to keep them cool, calm, and under command. Cosign on that one. B-Rose 931. B-Rose, you're always so negative with these questions sometimes. How concerned are you about the offensive line after today's game? I'm encouraged. I'm really encouraged.
You see I don't want to say Jim Oaks that they're running out there, but they had to reshuffle things big time, and they just lost their all-pro. I thought they looked pretty good, all things considered.
They got whooped straight up. When they tried to go downhill, they got whooped, and they learned their lesson and adjusted.
The movie of 2020 that comes out, like however many years, is going to be titled All Things Considered, and that applies to this game as well. All things considered, they looked pretty good.
All things considered, they looked pretty good. Agreed. He also asked, what adjustments on offense did you see us make in the second half? We've hit on that one. But yeah, I mean, the offensive line, I said this was going to be trial by fire with Buckner and Houston and Autry and that whole
like I watched the game last week. They had guys I hadn't even heard of making plays in this game. And like they had guys that I hadn't even heard of before making plays in the other game, like Muhammad and all that. They're fucking, I don't even know how deep, but they're a good defensive line.
Very good defensive line. And the Ravens have continuously faced the best defensive fronts in football. Eagles, Steelers, Colts. Like, this ain't a game. This ain't reindeer games out there. So it is trial by fire, but it is good when you're sitting at 6-2 and you have some cupcake games. Patriots should be somewhat of a cupcake game. Like, they can fuck with you a little bit and do some things. They have a little bit of devil in them always, but they are so thin. Their offense is anemic. Their defense is missing a lot of guys. They've lost some bad games. This should be a cupcake game to an extent. It might be close. Who knows? But then they have to go Steelers, Titans again. Other than that, they're going to get rolling late in the season if they can stay relatively healthy, knock on the old wood there, but they're going to get rolling. And having the trial by fire and then time to fix it against some lesser competition down the line, this schedule is amazing for the Ravens, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Cosign on that as well. Mickey Molotov, how about them Irish? Oh, that was a hell of a game.
That wasn't, I thought that would have been Matt. But yeah, great game by the Irish. Your boy, I wouldn't call myself a Notre Dame fan because I would probably get tarred and feathered and called a cop. But, your boy's mom got her master's there, and I am an Irish Catholic myself. So nice to see them pull that off. Little Ian Book action. Ian Book going to make a great slot receiver for the Patriots next year.
So true.
It's true.
Irish defense making some plays. I was really sad because DJ Uiagalelei is my favorite player in college football. And I think he didn't play great. I don't think he played poorly, but Notre Dame getting that big dub, man. That was huge for their program. Clemson definitely pissed off.
Dude, I was so tired last night, and I was like staying up watching it, and I would have gone to bed, but I was like, dude, I want to see Chappelle. It gets to like the last drive in overtime, and it's like Dave Chappelle after 30 minutes of local television. I was like, fuck that. I'm going to bed after this game. And, stayed up to watch it. And like I said, I haven't been as plugged in on college football as I'd like to be this year, but that was a good kind of template setter for me.
Hell yeah. Alex Beitzel, what did you guys see different play calling in the second half? They put their big boy pants on. They went to work. Moving on.
Shout out to Walt Jr.
Shout out to Walt Jr. He did have to go get those big boy pants and Walt had to beat the crap out of some kid.
Problem there, Chief. Having a little trouble walking. What a scene.
Damn, that was a spot on. That was deep in the memory bank. You had that one ready.
From our boy Adam Jones about my Trump impression. That was good.
That was pretty good. ZJ Batman, our boy. What second half adjustments were made? They put their big boy pants on. Does Dez get eventually involved? Yeah, I mean, he's going to get some targets. He's playing, and he's going to be part of that ramp-up period, too. They're going to have that cupcake schedule, the Jags, Giants, Cowboys. You can say, Cowboys might be dangerous. No, they fucking suck still. Patriots next week, sure. Get him into game stamina. That's part of the process. So hopefully the Ravens are able to have a couple of those, 2-3 score leads over the next month or two against Jags, Giants, Jets, Patriots, Bengals, whoever. I mean, Jags are going to fucking obliterate.
It's probably not going to happen, but I need the Ravens to blow the Patriots out next week so you can get RG3 throwing a touchdown to Dez Bryant. And then I need to see that Instagram post by RG3 and whatever caption that he goes with. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride because it's going to
That's a frameable picture if there's like them celebrating a touchdown. That's one I might get framed. That'd be
so like you turn it into a bumper sticker faster than your fucking head could spin. Like it would be incredible. I need that to happen.
That would be fantastic. But that wraps it up for the Instagram mailbag. Appreciate you guys as always. Good win. Good stuff coming from that one. We probably have some comments from Twitter and whatnot.
We do. Ben Walks, Darius Leonard is an absolute monster. What changed in the second half that allowed for offensive success? I guess we've kind of touched on that. What do you got?
God, I just see Kyle in the comments here. You fired. He said it twice.
No, that's me. I'm talking to fucking Adam Jones.
Oh, never mind.
We're having a little back and forth. I didn't want to interrupt you. So I'm kind of coming at him. He's coming after me for my Trump impression, which, by the way, is a tremendous, maybe the most tremendous Trump impression that you've ever heard. It's going to be a beauty. Absolutely tremendous over at the Four Seasons Total Landscaping, in which we're going to be announcing that we will not be conceding. But what did you see about the offense as far as the second half for success?
Jumbo. Ben Powers down at the goal line.
Oh, that's been a theme.
Jumbo. Jumpman. Timing, rhythm, no huddle.
Versman.
They threw the ball in first down, which they need to do. Tui.
What did he see?
He just started. I have a FedEx shipping label, and he's curling up inside of it, saying like he's popping popcorn in the microwave.
He's like Peters.
He is.
Okay, I guess we've answered that. Let's go to Zeech Batman's Twitter question, which is early thoughts on the Patriots game. Feels like a trap game. Ravens are 0-1 against Newton, which is actually not true. I fact-checked him on that. I think they're 1-1 against Newton. They beat him in 2014 and then 2018.
That was at home, 202014 in Baltimore?
Yeah, it was a Steve Smith revenge game. Flacco.
Right.
Yeah. After, I think, Morgan Cox tore his ACL. They couldn't snap it. So they're 1-1 against Newton, actually. But, you can say trap game all you want, but like they've been in the fucking ringer the last couple of weeks. I feel like a trap game is not really on the radar right now.
Trap game is the Eagles game.
Yeah, they're not playing well enough to have a trap game on the schedule. But listen, you don't want to take them lightly. They had a couple good games to open the season. Bill's always going to cook something up. He always loves to stick it to the Ravens a little bit. And Newton's playing for a career here. Like, this is it for Cam Newton right now, for at least the next year.
They like to run the ball. They run the ball a lot. They don't have weapons in the passing game. We'll see how that Jets game goes. Maybe they emerge as some sort of devil's magic, which is always a possibility for the New England Patriots. But they like to run the ball. They run, jumbo sets, heavy sets, 12, 11, or 12, 21, 22 personnel. And they run wham, they run trap, they run counters, they run all kinds of misdirection, zone, power, all that shit. So the Ravens stuffed the run incredibly well. We saw that again today. Nothing crazy happened in the run game. They rallied to the ball. If Marlon's back, DBs are all healthy of who they have available. I think it'll be quite okay. And the Ravens, I think, will be able to solidly beat them. That has the potential to be a bloodbath, in my opinion. I know Aaron Schatz of Football Outsiders is adamantly wanting that game flexed out of prime time because he's so positive it's going to be a bloodbath. And that doesn't always happen, but
he's also a Patriots fan. So yeah, I could see your team wanting to get your 2-6 team flexed out of prime time.
Oh, I did not even know that. But
I believe he and the first couple FO founder guys are Pats guys. So
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So I think that has potential to get ugly.
We got some big Canada energy from Steve Fisher. It seems like the O is getting off to slow starts this year, which is the exact opposite of last year. Is there one or a few things you guys have noticed that might explain it? Would love to see this team come out of the gates flying again. So I think it was kind of explainable, the however many first couple weeks when they were getting behind in the count as far as not winning on the early downs. But I really couldn't even put a pin on it today. I don't know if I was like out of sorts or what, but I kind of wasn't really noticing what the issue was. I don't know if you did.
Early on, they got bullied. They were trying to run downhill into the teeth of that defense. It did not work. And they have a botched snap early on. Boyle ends up getting a yard back there. Let's see what else happened on first downs. J.K. Dobbins stuffed -2 yards.
And there were some, I don't want to say bad play calls, but like the play calling was maybe kind of not.
It was kind of vanilla in terms of the run game.
They were trying to make stuff happen going east-west. It wasn't working, and that's where all the fire Roman stuff started up again. And it's like, we're doing this again. And then, they rectified it in the second half, which is good. But.
Yeah. Nothing happened on first down. They ran the ball the first 5 first downs. Then they finally have an incompletion to Mark Andrews, another incompletion to Marquise Brown. J.K. Dobbins stuffed again for another -2 yard gain in jumbo. They were trying to go downhill. They were struggling to find any space in the passing game. They weren't getting the ball out quickly enough early on. And the Colts were, I guess, backed up in coverage a little bit. They were trying to force Lamar to throw outside and short, and he did. He had the Marquise Brown drop, which I just mentioned. That one kind of sucked. And so they weren't getting a ton of traction in that necessarily. Then all of a sudden there's 40 seconds left in the half. First down, -1 J.K. Dobbins. They kind of concede, punt, and give the ball to the Colts. Then they come out firing in the second half, 14 yards on first down to Willie Snead. 21 yards into Nick Boyle. Lamar Jackson keeps the ball to the right end, kind of darted out there from the 15 down to the 7, out of bounds. They try to punch the ball in on 1st and 3, fumble. Then Lamar just started making it happen on 1st down. I mean, they let him drop back, get the ball out quickly. He ran effectively a couple times, and it turned into a Lamar show, and they were better on 1st down. Had some play action on 1st down. He hits Miles Boykin on 1st down with 4:31 in the third quarter remaining. So they put the ball in Lamar's hands and said, here, we'll give you some hot routes. We'll see if you can sling the ball quickly. And it was a blessing to see him checking the ball down. And that's what we've wanted to see. We know he can push the ball to that intermediate area. The deep accuracy hasn't been great this year. They haven't gotten great deep separation this year. We don't see a lot of shot plays dialed up. But pick defenses apart underneath if they'll let you. Hell yeah. That's what I'm all about. That's my favorite shit to see from Lamar Jackson. Picking defenses apart quickly, getting the ball out quickly in rhythm. That, in addition to his athletic ability and what he can do in the open field, is a nightmare if he can check the ball down and let guys go run after the catch. That is the good shit.
That is my shit, man. More Big Canada energy from Tony Ferrari, one of the great names amongst our listeners. How do you guys feel about the running back usage? Been fairly split between Gus and JK with Ingram out. Do you think they should give either guy a few more touches to build a rhythm? I personally don't. I feel like it's working fine. I feel like rhythm is kind of a thing for a fan where you're like hot hand fallacy type deal where like this guy has to get more if he's doing well. I feel like if you're a running back, you're kind of just going to do what the play calls for and just kind of do your job, and you're not overly worried about a rhythm. It helps to get into one, but it's not necessarily a thing that you need. So you got these two guys that are pretty darn talented and bring different things. So yeah, keep splitting those touches. I like it.
Yeah, I'll write that check as well. I think there's just different roles and different concepts, and there is a hot hand, and then you do talk about that. But it's like on a given drive. Like
right.
If J.K. Dobbins drills off like an impressive 12-yard run and he didn't tire himself out, keep him in for that drive until he gets tired. But I love having two backs switch in and out. I think that's the ideal stuff. And that's why, I went on that little tangent about Ingram earlier. So I think this is ideal, this back split right now.
Thunder and Thunder. Chris Lehman, last one, coming at you guys hard this week after you didn't even read last week's Twitter questions. I already apologized to him on Twitter, but we were like a fucking hour and 45 minutes in, and we just did not have the bandwidth. Big corporate slogan guy didn't have the bandwidth. So we'll circle back and touch base with you here. Where are the deep shots to Hollywood, aka Soldier or Duvernay? I know OL needs to give Lamar time, but I feel like we got to take at least one or two a game to see what could come of it. I agree, but I just feel like it hasn't called for it recently. Like there just really hasn't been a time to do so. The O-line hasn't been giving the time, and I don't know. It just feels like there kind of hasn't been the formula there to do so, because they've done it at points throughout the season, but for the most part recently, the offense just kind of knows who they are right now. It's really not that deep strike, high risk, high reward type offense.
I think they'll get that going eventually, but Hollywood gets a lot of attention. They shade coverage his way. I would like to see some max protection shots with 7 or 8 in from time to time to block and see if they can dial it up. Lamar can kind of run around and throw the ball away if he needs to, just to put that on the table. And I do want Hollywood to get a couple chances to go run under some balls. His tracking ability is outstanding. He has that kind of center fielder ability to go get under a ball. And I think that's missing. So we'll see how they do it. But it felt like after a big turnover game and a game where the offensive line was struggling, they really wanted to just try and move the sticks. The Colts were playing a little softer than you would expect and trying to funnel some short outside throws and giving up some stuff up the seam. So Lamar took advantage. I mean, the throw that he had to Nick Boyle up the seam in really tight coverage and a tight window was an incredible catch and a great throw. So I think Lamar did some masterful things in the pocket, and the Colts didn't want to get beat deep. They never want to get beat deep. They run that cover 3 soft, and the Ravens took advantage of the second half. So we'll see. I think it just gets dictated week to week based on what the opposing defense does, and got to read coverage and take what they give you.
I'm going to dictate. Yeah, but okay. That was all we had from Twitter questions.
Twitter questions. Well, that's an episode, I think. So this was a fun one. I think this was a great win for the Ravens moving forward. Patriots next week, primetime football. Hell yeah, we need that stuff. So the Ravens, 31 straight games. Everyone talked about that. 31 straight games, 20-plus points, 10 straight road wins. Lamar didn't turn the ball over today. I think what we saw out of the Ravens defense was spectacular up front, especially. And, guys like Terrell Bond stepping up in this game as well. I think that we're going to see a lot of good Chuck Clark and Deshaun Elliott when we flick that all 22 on too. So going to be a fun one to look at. We'll be breaking it down again. We'll have another episode. Try and get some guests on, some Patriots people this week, and hopefully some other fun interviews coming up. But we appreciate you guys for the mailbags very much.
We certainly do. Appreciate you guys listening as well. Kind of a late recording here, so hopefully we were both able to bring the energy. I know your boy is absolutely zapped right now, so I'm going to try and get some sleep after this. But yeah, appreciate everyone tuning in. Hope you guys will tune in later in the week, like Spencer said, for the Patriots preview show. Hopefully get a Patriots-centric guest on to chop up that game. But in the meantime, appreciate you guys checking this one out. We hope you'll check us out on social media. The Twitters at Podcast Beatdown is the show's handle. You can follow me at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE. You can follow Spencer at Ravens4Dummies. It's the number 4 in the middle. Thank you guys for listening. We respect you, but we do not fear you, and we hope you have a great week.
Bye-bye.